Hey friends, it's Elizabeth here with the start of my January yearbook pages. So first I wanted to show you kind of where I am headed with these first few January pages. As you can see, I have this book with a bunch of sticky notes. This is part of my 100-day project where I'm writing down an idea for a story or a layout or just any random bit of something that I want to write down for 100 days. And one of the layouts that I came up with was this calendar page. So as you can see, I wrote a little sketch and then some ideas that I had about the layout. And I'm going to show you how that turned out. All right, so as you can see, I have these calendar pages and then this page full of tiny photos. And my plan is to cut out all of the photos and then paste one in each spot to document all of the photos that I took for the month. So not every day has a photo. This page is full of January and February, so obviously not all days have a photo, and that's fine. I'm planning on stamping the dates in the boxes on the days that don't have a photo, but I am going to kind of fiddle around with that to see if I like that look or not. So I decided to use a template from Paislee Press. So Liz Tamanaha from Paislee Press just came out with a 6x8 calendar template that had all of this included, the calendars for each month as well as the template for the photos to add into the squares. And I just rearranged some things a little bit to fit it into a 10x8 album. And I don't know if you can see, the lines are quite faint, but a page, so a regular size page, fits perfectly inside the 10x8 album if you cut a tiny bit from the top and bottom. So that is what I'm going to do, and I'm excited to show you the process. All right, so definitely the most intensive part of this particular layout is cutting out all of those teeny tiny photos. So those photos are about 1¼ inch by 1½ inch. I was able to make them a tiny bit bigger than the original Paislee Press template had them as. She had it set up as a 6x8, so the calendar was slightly smaller, and since I tweaked it to fit into a 10x8, or rather an 11x8, because that's the actual size of the page projector, which is the size that this layout is going to be, is 11 by 8.25, I was able to expand the calendar part and make those boxes a little bit bigger, so the boxes end up being around 1½ by 1¼ And as you can see, I am just going through all of my photos and I'm going to be adding them to the correct boxes. So you're going to see me look at my phone a lot, trying to figure out which dates these photos were taken on. To be honest, some of these I actually did not put on the same day as they were taken. If I had more than one photo that I really liked from a day, but like no photos from the second day, like the day after, I would totally just put them on the 2 days. So as you can see, I have some blank spaces, and I did that on purpose so that I have room to add my dates. I am going to be using a stamp set from the Paper Person to stamp out the dates from the boxes that I have open, and that stamp set is called This Week. I believe it came from the September Paper Person kit. You can see it right there, but those numbers fit perfectly inside those little boxes, and I'm going to be stamping out all of them with this black StazOn ink. It's my favorite. It gives a nice bold look to my stamping. Obviously it's not perfect because my stamping is almost never perfect, but that's okay. And also, if you can see, some of my stamping is actually kind of crooked, but that's all right. And once I have finished stamping and everything, I will then punch my holes into this layout, and then I will call this particular layout finished. So this is a really good way of opening each month in my album. And I'm excited to do this for each month and see how we change as a family and just get a little overview of our year just with these calendar layouts. So now I'm going to take you back to my table and talk to you about the next one. All right, so here we are with the next layout for January. For this, I'm going to be using the Begin Again transparency piece. And as you can see, I already have my layout printed out on some regular paper. So when I'm working on a hybrid layout, I like to print something out if I'm going to be using a lot of digital elements printed on physical elements, which is what I was doing here. As you can see, I have some faux journaling right here in the corner, and then these boxes that will be filled with journaling in the regular layout. So I was just trying to make sure that everything fit where it was supposed to be, and printing something out like this is a really good way to make sure that everything will work when you're working on your final layout. All right, so here is the stuff that I have for my final layout. All right, so I printed my journaling on the actual 4x6 card that came in the kit. As you can see, I just adhered it to this spot and just printed the journaling layer from Photoshop. And let's get to work on this. So this layout came together pretty quickly, mostly because I already had a sketch in my mind. So I was kind of just following along with that instead of making it up as I go, which is what I usually do. And as you can see, I'm starting with a lot of things already done. So I already have that base page that's 11 inches by 8¼ with journaling already printed. And now I am cutting out the small 2x2 inch squares that I printed on. Those are actually the 2x2 inch squares from one of the 4x6 pocket page cards that's included in Allie Edwards' story kit, the Begin story kit, and I just printed that on my computer on the actual pocket page card that came in my kit. Sorry about the in and out zooming right now that's going on. Sometimes my camera just doesn't know where to focus. Kind of like me. All right, so now I am going to be cutting out my photos, which I sized to be just a tad bit smaller than 2x2 inches. I believe it's around 1.8 inches. And I did that because I wanted a small border around the photo so it wasn't all so like the top part of that layout wasn't all fit in. I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of white space with those white borders around the photos. As you can see, I'm using that Begin Again transparency piece, and I adhered that using my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher. Even though this is transparency on a white background, I really love the way that that looks. And this layout is talking all about our recent PCS, which is military move from Hawaii to the state of New York. That's a long way. And if you're familiar with moving, it really is about beginning again. So that sentiment worked out perfectly for this layout. As you can see, I just adhered all of my journaling in a grid pattern on the top part of my layout. So each of the square journaling parts is talking mainly about like the photo and like the steps that it took for us to move. And then the large journaling block beside the transparency piece is just about the entire process of moving, like my feelings on this whole process of moving, if that makes any sense. All right, so now I'm going to be adding some chipboard pieces to my layout. As you can see, I'm adding the numbers 1 through 5 to all of my bits of journaling, and that just is going to lead you through our process, kind of. And then I'm adding a larger chipboard embellishment to that Begin Again transparency, and I'm going to call these 2 layouts completed. Thank you so much for joining me on this process video, the first of 2022. I'm really excited to continue being a presence here on YouTube, and I'd love if you would give me a follow here on YouTube or over on my Instagram at The Everyday Storyteller. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.